What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be looking over here at the Bitcoin price chart, along with the XRP price chart, coming off of a nearly $10,000 ricochet off the lows from this weekend's drama over here on Bitcoin, appearing to have completed our ABC correction here back down to the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. This is a topic we've been talking about for months on end. It's nice to be reaching into a new phase in here. Now we're entering into additional accumulation schematics before we can actually get an expansion to take place in here, and whether or not a bull flag is going to appear right here with a faster approach for escape, or whether or not we're going to see more of the kind of meandering price action that we saw back in 2024 and in this type of schematic as well, which in these types of environments from back in here, it's equivalent to having like a back test take you back to right here around $101,000 to $102,000, likely still perpetuating the narrative that's going on out there and create a lot of uncertainty before then eventually shuffling its way out. Right now, it's really hard to know. In our example of how we had a pretty quick escape, you can actually see in here a lot of these back tests were happening along the way. So you can see it just continued to back test up in here and then went into escape. Then our examples where we really just kind of head up quickly, or we head up quickly, eventually those back tests do end up coming in there. You can see in here, there's been no real back test. So if you're looking for a similarity on recovery schematics, we're mirroring these types of behaviors more so than we are these, since there hasn't really been any type of gap closures on the way up here. Frankly, I think it will be dictated by what's happening in broader markets, as it typically is. When we see expansions end up happening, they're typically coinciding with other things going on in markets. So if the Russell 2000 were to catch like an early lead, we would see the breadth open up over there in the United States stock market. You would likely see this happening at the same time. You'd see the altcoin market going at the same time as well. And this thing would probably come to a conclusion very quickly. Now, one of the fascinating things I've been posting about over there on X and there in Markets in the Morning has just been this correlation of the Coinbase price chart and the altcoin market, or even Bitcoin as well here in orange, that as the price chart of Coinbase moves, so does the cryptocurrency market. And what's incredibly fascinating right now is this jump start that Coinbase has, or coin. We can look through the years of price action in here of coin versus the rest of the cryptocurrency market, and there is a very clear runaway train that has happened there for Coinbase, where the rest of the cryptocurrency market hasn't caught up yet. So there's typically not much of a delay that happens between these things. So of course I'm on edge at the same time. Does this mean something? Does this mean something's going to get moving pretty quickly? Is there going to be some type of news event or news catalyst that's about to hit here pretty soon? Does somebody know something? Either way, you've probably caught the tweets that I've put out over there on X that you are not bullish enough, frankly, because I do believe we are completed with our ABC correction, and we have a preliminary runaway train that's already happened in here that typically is also in confluence with really the rest of the market. And as you can see, the rest of the market doesn't seem to notice it yet. Now, one thing that was interesting about 2024 when we were producing our bull flag, of course, was the trickery that emerged here, right? Given the impression of an ABC already being completed, then there becomes this rally, and then it finally capitulates and does the completion of the ABC. Of course, there's always the concern about that and the egg on the face scenario if that ends up happening, but trying to find those situations of, well, what happened with the market when that occurred. And even when we look over here at Coinbase versus the cryptocurrency market, that point in time was right here. So you could see that when we put Bitcoin on there, that during that moment in here, where ABC, the fake out, and then the final push and capitulation, you were not getting anything majestic happening over here on Coinbase at that time. However, this time you clearly see it. So while we have seen that before, I don't think it's likely that it's going to happen. I think if we're going to be pulling back in here on things like Bitcoin, it would be back into these levels like we typically see in these styles of recoveries, right? What we're essentially trying to guess here is we're trying to guess what ranging behavior is going to look like while we're in the middle of the Fibonacci levels. Essentially, in the dumb money zone, what will price look like? And we know that ranges by design, are chaotic. They're not all the same, and there's different variations of them. However, we know that these are common forms of them right here. So we're just going to have to wait this out to see if that's how it's going to end up playing, or if we get something more along the lines of that, and there does become something like a bull flag produced, and then a bigger escape ends up happening. If we take out the top of that B leg, I think it's pretty much just giving us a signal that we're going to get started. And to be frank, why it's just not the same as when we have that secondary leg come down here for the C leg for Bitcoin, and we had it for Coinbase at the same time, is that we do the same thing here for Coinbase, right? It goes into this ABC correction in here, and it's just clearly it's escaped that, right? And we've been looking to be in an ABC correction here for Bitcoin, and obviously it's gone for the full-blown escape. So it's just not the same. As for XRP, I think it's just ranging in here before some type of news or some type of catalyst comes and pops this thing out of here. There'll probably be a lot of excitement thinking that this thing is going to go into some type of full-blown escape. I think we'll probably come back up to the top of this range in the $2.60 area, and then it'll probably start waddling again for a while before we end up getting the actual real breakout, which will come with the rest of the cryptocurrency market. But again, I think anybody trying to time this thing at this point is probably playing with fire, as we are already seeing the early indications of that escape happening in there in other aspects of the market. And for me, as you guys know it, it's all about, conditions have to be met throughout crypto, right? We needed to see an ABC get completed in here for Bitcoin. We have confluence factors of correlated assets, and that correlated asset did the same thing with an ABC, and it's now gone into a full-blown escape happening over in here. I think it's dancing with fire trying to time any of this stuff at this point with what we're already seeing. And now that the US stock market is open, there's Coinbase up again, 364. I just think this thing's a ticking time bomb. And we did just get some news right now that I guess I missed in this little price drop, that Judge Torres has denied Ripple and the SEC's joint motion for an indicative ruling. Judge Torres' message in the ruling is that private deals don't erase public judgments, and her judgment still serves the public interest. The parties do not have the authority to agree not to be bound by a court's final judgment. They have not come close to doing so here, and if they want out, they can withdraw their appeals or go through the appeal process, which now we'll get to see what the reaction is from Ripple and the SEC. I have no doubt in my mind they've had some backup plan for this to be the case, and will this be what the surprise is for the market, whatever ends up coming next that gets this range bottom to come in and shoot the price to the upside. We'll all find out. Either way, none of that stuff mattered when price moved up last time. It's all dependent on these variables happening throughout the market, not secrets upon secrets, not the Ripple case or the SEC, but all about that. And everybody's favorite, the Russell 2000. So these will be the things we're watching for now. We've completed our ABC over there for Bitcoin. I don't believe we're going to get the fake out rally, because if we were, then we likely would not have seen this element already show up here in the market. I think it's a ticking time bomb. We're all just going to have to wait and see how it starts to structurally manifest itself and give it a little bit of time. But otherwise, I think we're definitely through the worst of it all, and the coming months will likely be very exciting here in crypto. I think this XRP news probably timed, probably a little shakeout here. I have no doubt in my mind both of these parties expected that this was a potential outcome and had a backup plan for it. Now we just wait for their announcements, and my bet is it's going to be something surprising, something nobody probably thought was on the table. So my bet is when we get together tomorrow, the story is going to be very different. So as we head into the rest of this week and we head into the weekend, obviously we're going to be watching to see how this thing starts to manifest itself to eventually get itself into the last leg of expansion over here for Bitcoin. Well, we already have things like Coinbase. There it goes. That's another high right in there. That was kind of a big one, I think, because that one poked above the peak of 2021. So Coinbase just took out Bitcoin's top right there from 2021 there with that move that just happened today. So I really think we're lining ourselves up for something exciting to come in the market. And as is typical, retail sentiment just isn't there yet. So there's obviously been lots of news that has gone on here in the past day. I try not to cover all the news because you guys know how it goes for me when we do markets in the morning, even though I do the intro of this channel every single time. Cryptocurrency news and analysis. There's very little news here. you're going to be able to show your asset holdings of cryptocurrency that you hold on Kraken and Coinbase, Kraken and Coinbase when applying for a mortgage now. We'll see how that manifests itself and what that ends up looking like. But obviously, if you're wanting to buy a home, you need to have your assets on Coinbase or Kraken for that, per the new rules that are coming out. I think we'll see some big XRP related news or Ripple related news, right? It's not really even XRP related, right? XRP is not a security. It's on all the exchanges, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter. But I think you'll see kind of something with Ripple come out of here. It's probably going to be a surprise that happens in the market. We have conditions lining up everywhere. And I do think we're just through the worst of it all, you guys. So, we're left with that whole thing of, is Bitcoin going to waddle here for a while before it breaks out? Or are we just like right on the cusp of it with what Coinbase is doing? Just kind of with you right there, just staring at that, thinking, when is that going to happen? So we'll keep our eyes on it. We'll check on it here in the coming days. And as things develop, we will cover it. But that's going to be it for this one, you guys. You can check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. There'll be a new one posted over there on Monday. You can check out the most recent one. Comes with a 22-minute audio recording, and you get access to all the past ones. There's a link down here in the description of this video to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, have yourself a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking with you guys tomorrow. That's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.